Welcome back again, Spanish 2 students. This is Unit 2, Lesson 2 of the Level 2 book. In this unit, we're going to be working with reflexive verbs and also the present progressive tense. A reflexive verb is something that is done to yourself or for yourself. In reflexive verbs, the noun, or pronoun, appears before the conjugated verb. And then your conjugations will have their regular endings. These can be found in present, preterite, the other past tenses, as well as the future tenses. Here are some examples. Bañarse, to bathe oneself, and vestirse, to dress oneself. These reflexive pronouns, found in blue in front of the conjugated verb, are the same pronouns that you use when you conjugate the verb llamarse, when you say me llamo, te llamas, se llama, nos llamamos, and se llaman. So your pronouns in front of the reflexive verbs, this se part, are me, te, se, nos, and se. Then you take your regular verb and conjugate it. So I bathe myself would be me baño. You bathe yourself, te bañas. He bathes herself, se baña. We bathe ourselves, nos bañamos, and they bathe themselves, se bañan. On the verb vestirse, which means to dress yourself, we know that the verb vestir is a stem-changing verb, because we learned that back in Spanish 1. It is very important to remember these stem changes, even in the reflexive. Once again, your pronouns come in front. Me, te, se, nos, and se. Me visto, te vistes, se viste, nos vestimos, and se visten. I dress myself. You dress yourself, or do you dress yourself? She dresses herself. We dress ourselves, and they dress themselves. Remember, on your stem changers, the stem change does not take place in the nosotros form. When a reflexive verb follows a conjugated verb, that two verby-worby combination that we always mention, there are two places that it can go. It can go before the conjugated verb or after and attached to the unconjugated verb. For example, me quiero despertar a las 9. Quiero is not a reflexive verb because that's I want, but despertarme is a reflexive verb because you're waking yourself up. So if you put it before the conjugated verb, then it would be me quiero despertar a las 9. I want to wake up at 9. Never divorce your two verby-worby. Okay, another example. ¿A qué hora te tienes que bañar? Okay, so this is one of our expressions, tener que plus infinitive, which means to have to do something. But in this case, bañarse is reflexive. And since it's a question and it's something that you're doing to yourself, it's going to be te as your pronoun. So the te is going to have to come in front of the conjugated verb. ¿A qué hora te tienes que bañar? At what time do you have to take a bath? It can also come after and attached to the unconjugated verb. Quiero despertarme a las 9. I want to wake myself up or to wake up at 9. ¿A qué hora tienes que bañarte? What time do you have to take a bath? Something important to remember is verbs are not always reflexive. You can have the same verb in a reflexive form as well as in a non-reflexive form, depending to whom the action is being done. For example, llamar means to call, llamarse, to call oneself. Rascar, to scratch. You can scratch the dog or you could scratch your knee. Rascarse would be if you are scratching yourself. Levantar, to get up. Levantarse, to wake yourself up. Poner, to put. Ponerse, to put yourself. Acostar, to go to bed. Acostarse, to put yourself to bed. Despertar, to wake up. Despertarse, to wake yourself up. Duchar, to bathe. Ducharse, to bathe yourself. Cepillar, to brush. Cepillarse, to brush yourself. Secar, to dry. Secarse, to dry yourself. Sentir, to feel. Sentirse, to feel like. Lavar, to wash. Lavarse, to wash oneself. Bañar, to bathe. Bañarse, to bathe oneself. Peinar, to comb. Peinarse, to comb oneself. Dormir, to sleep. Dormirse, to fall asleep. Quitar, to remove. Quitarse, to take off of oneself. Llamé a Francisco después de estudiar. I called, this is preterite, Francisco after studying. Me llamo Francisco y me gusta estudiar. My name is Francisco and I like to study. Seco mi perro con una toalla amarilla. I dry my dog with a yellow towel. Me seco con una toalla amarilla. I dry myself with a yellow towel. Jumping on to the present progressive. Present progressive is something that is happening right now. In English, it would be the ing ending with a helping verb. In Spanish, it's estar plus your verb and either ando or yendo. There are a few irregulars in this that we'll talk about in a minute. For example, hablar. To say I am talking, I would say yo estoy hablando. Okay? Comer. I am eating. Yo estoy comiendo. Arreglar, to fix. She is fixing. Ella está arreglando. Hacer, to do or to make. She is making. Ella está haciendo. So for your AR verbs, your ending is ando. And for ER and IR verbs, yendo. There are a few irregulars in the present progressive. If the stem of an ER-IR verb ends in a vowel, then your IENDO will change to YENDO. For example, leer would change to leyendo. Ir is going to be yendo, and oír, oyendo, construir, construyendo, and traer, trayendo. Again, for example, she is bringing cake to the party. Ella está trayendo el pastel a la fiesta. There are some that have a change in the stem. Decir is diciendo. Pedir, pidiendo. Vestir, vistiendo. Dormir, durmiendo. Sentir, sintiendo. Morir, muriendo. And mentir, mintiendo. These are related to stem changes in the present tense and must be memorized. If you have a reflexive verb in the present progressive, the ing form, you can place the pronoun before the conjugated verb of estar. Okay? For example, me estoy arreglando. Me estoy arreglando. Okay? I am getting myself ready or fixing myself. You can also place your pronoun after and attached to the ando to make estoy arreglándome. In that case, this A right here would have to have an accent. Next one. La señora Muñoz se está maquillando. Señora Muñoz is putting on her makeup. I could also move this pronoun to the end of maquillando. And I could say, la señora Muñoz está maquillándose. Because that se shifts my strongest syllable, this A would have to have an accent. Los amigos se están vistiendo. The friends are getting dressed, or are dressing themselves. This pronoun can also be after and attached here. Los amigos están vistiéndose. And once again, that shifts my emphasis, and I would have to put an accent on this E. Finally, no nos estamos acostando hasta las 12. We could say no estamos acostándonos hasta las 12, and that A would have to take on a written accent because of the shift in the emphasis on the syllables.